Hey everyone, thanks for being on the call tonight, and so sorry that I had my dates wrong last Tuesday. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and begin, and I wanted to explain to you that sometimes when I do the free calls once a month, a lot of times what happens is that sometimes I have sessions with people that are just really profound. Like it just makes me really think about my own life. And it's such cool information that comes in sometimes from angels or ascended masters or different beings. And it's only ever in that one session. And normally I don't even remember sessions once I hang up. I kind of let the energy go to be present for the next one. But sometimes there's these really cool subjects that comes up that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I wish I could share it. Or sometimes I'll be meditating in the morning and something will come flooding in. So this particular call tonight is coming in from really more so the inspiration of the angelic realm. And so we're going to call them in just a moment. The angels will be working with us and helping us to navigate the energy tonight. It will be working a lot with the inner child, and I'll give you kind of the concept of it in just a minute. But let's go ahead and qualify our energy with a prayer just to clear through that. So we just want to begin by breathing in and out and just expanding into the wisdom of the conscious heart. The temple of the great central sun angels, opening up a quantum prayer field for tonight's call, calling forth to each of your councils of light in the presence of your soul guiding you. Also joining us tonight is going to be Mother Mary and the Sacred Heart Angels, the Holy Spirit and the flames of forgiveness, the Elohim of grace, and Archangel Michael. And we're going to go ahead and call forth to the sapphire blue force field of light from Archangel Michael in and around each of us. Just begin breathing in and making a connection to your own higher presence, calling it down before you, leaning in with your left shoulder into a tender embrace and just allowing yourself to be held. It's going to be important as we go through the call this evening that you're able to connect into that energy of those particular beings. And so just breathing in and allowing yourself to just relax into being held. And again, that Archangel Michael, that force field of blue light, knowing that you're safe, you're protected, you're unconditionally loved, cherished and adored, valued and appreciated. And then sealing this session tonight with the miracle mantle, the mighty Elohim, Seraphim, Cherubim angels, and the cosmic Christ presence, the divine love, wisdom, power, purity, healing, wisdom, grace, perfection, and the violet transmuting flame. Just feeling all this energy coming in, supporting you. All right, the cherubim angels are coming forth as well. And we want to go ahead and invite in your inner child, knowing that all parts of you have a right to be heard. As we open with compassion and curiosity, just begin tonight noticing what age inner child is coming forth for you this evening. And just greeting that inner child, inviting them into this sanctuary, this super safe place. And just breathing in and breathing out. And having your inner child be enfolded in this one heart breath with your own higher presence. Okay, so I'm going to kind of explain the concept to you a little bit about where this came in. So again, this one kind of came in more through working with somebody in a session, and the information was being delivered through a combination of Mother Mary, Archangel Michael, and some other angelic beings, archangels that were coming in. And this is the basic concept, is that think about in your life if you feel like you might have any kind of codependency at all, on any level. Everybody might be laughing right now, like, ha, 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 of course I do. So anyway, just noticing if you have any codependency in your life. And if it's been kind of a running issue for you that you're aware of. And just noticing the feeling, even when I bring up the word codependency, how that feels to you, what comes in. How does it feel when I bring up the word codependency? You might have a kind of instant sort of knee-jerk reaction to that. So just breathing in and out. Breathing in and breathing out. Opening up your heart. And you want to drop down into your belly and just breathe into the keyword be codependent. I want you to notice again any judgments, charges, criticism that you might have on yourself or that other people maybe have kind of accused you of, right? So again, be codependent. Let yourself use your breath, and you want to drop all the way down to the bottom of your belly. So again, that keyword, be codependent. If there's any emotions, any fears, any sorrow, any frustration, anger, hopelessness, depression, powerlessness. And you're just letting it unravel. All right, now, this is kind of the cool thing that came in, because codependency in and of itself isn't necessarily a new subject for any of us, right? But what I had never seen before, and that's like the beauty of working with people on a soul level, is you get to constantly learn. It's like being in college classes constantly, right? So the thing that I had never seen before is that people who are, let's say on the spectrum, highly codependent, are oftentimes highly intuitional at the same time because of their sensitivity. So now I want you to notice, right as we're starting to have compassion for you, I want you to notice if you also have always felt like a very sensitive soul, like a highly sensitive soul. Either intuitive or emotionally sensitive, probably most of all emotionally sensitive, but the sense of being emotionally sensitive, intuitive, that kind of energy, right? And just breathing into that energy. And just acknowledging that for yourself, that sense of your heightened intuition and empathy. And as that energy is following through, aligning to your heart center, and noticing the correlation, just letting those two things kind of collapse. We're calling in Mother Mary and the Sacred Heart Angels. Coming in and blessing you. Opening up your heart center, allowing this energy to begin to clear, where you, in a sense, again, where you've been sort of judging yourself for heightened codependency is also the energy where you perhaps also have been judging your higher intuition. Okay, now we're going to backtrack a little bit. And so connect to that inner child again. And noticing in the energy where you're, the energy of your inner child, when you're little, think about being in the presence of your mom, being a highly sensitive child, and in that heightened sensitivity, basically having to empath your mom, navigate that energy, and in a sense, your heightened sensitivity and whatever her reaction is, having to balance that. And then on the other hand, I want you to notice being around your father or a father figure. And in that energy, where you're having to navigate. So you've got this highly sensitive child, highly intuitive, highly emotionally sensitive, high emotional intelligence. I don't think you'd even be on the call, honestly, tonight if you didn't have all those qualities, like you wouldn't have been drawn to it. So let's just assume that you have all that. And I'm assuming you probably know that about yourself, right? And so imagine and having compassion for this highly sensitive child coming in with a lot of consciousness, and out of your own, sense of kind of survival and navigating it, having to, in a sense, almost give your power away. Let's say one of your parents might have been in denial and didn't really want to deal with things. So then you have to kind of withdraw your energy and shut down these heightened parts of yourself, but yet give your power away at the same time. And so that's going to automatically put you in a codependent relationship with whichever parent might have been shut down. Or maybe you had a parent that had addictions, or a parent who might have been very expressive in some way, either judgmental or anger or whatever it could have been, right? And even if the parent was happy and jolly and whatever, if they are covering up their emotions with a sense of humor or, kind of going along with things, you're still navigating that. So again, where the codependency comes in, I want you to think about it, not so much in terms of adult relationships, but as a child, that the higher your sensitivity, the higher your capacity for codependency, they actually match. They're a real good parallel. They match really well. Because the vibration of one creates the vibration of another. And so when you're navigating with your family dynamic, whether it's siblings or whatever, but most of all with your parents, and watching that aged child that came forth for you. And again, watching her start with your mom and her energy field, and just notice, what did you do with your sensitivity? What were you sensing there? And if you were having to navigate the terrain of your emotional energy, your emotional relationship with your mom, you're literally more focused on her than you are yourself. And that's kind of what creates codependency, right? So if you have a parent in denial who's not handling things, you're having to use all your intuition to tune into them, and you're taking attention away from yourself. So you no longer know how you feel because you're totally tuned into that parent. And then again, shift to your father and noticing your sensitivity towards your father and that age inner child that came to you, and feeling that sense with him. And the more chaotic things are, the more tense things are, the more arguing there is, the more unpredictable behavior there is, the more addictions there might be, the more denialism or non-presence. For a sensitive child, that is extremely hard on them. Like you're living in a certain level of chaos with that, unsafe energy, and so again, watching your codependency, and now trace back and notice, and just asking the question on a soul level, when did my codependency actually start? And again, we're not really wanting to judge the codependency. It's a natural reaction, let's say, right? Like a real common reaction to a child, a highly sensitive child born in family units that have dysfunctions. And those dysfunctions can look different ways. And it doesn't really matter actually what the dysfunction is. And the higher the dysfunction, the higher sensitivity of the child, the higher the codependency of how you may be in your life as an adult. And we're just talking it through because we want to unravel it, almost kind of like an aha type thing. And if there's anything you want to include in the chat box or share on that level, that's great too. So again, just breathing in. Watching that energy. And what you want to do is kind of let it start to unravel down in your belly and through your heart center, as we're calling now into the energy of Mother Mary and the Sacred Heart Angels, Archangel Michael and that force field of sapphire blue light around you. We're calling into the angels of mercy are coming in, the angels of divine love. And you want to begin to start identifying in your energy field, like your level of fear in your childhood. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, how did you, like looking back on it now, because in the moment you were probably just trying to survive it, but looking back on your situation and listening to your inner child, how much fear do you think you may have had as a child growing up? And again, usually children who are super loving, highly sensitive, highly intuitive, can pick up on the thought forms, emotions, feelings of others, are deeply loving and compassionate, very conscious. You have to realize that those children are going to be way more sensitive to environments that have fear in it. Even if it's not things happening at you, if either or both your parents have high levels of unresolved emotions, sorrow, grief, anger, fears, and you pick up on them, all you're going to want to do is take care of them. You're going to want to try to help them, heal them, anything you can, again, kind of for your own survival. So the more you use your consciousness as a child to try to help heal a parent, it's like digging a sand trap. It's like digging yourself deeper and deeper into a sand trap that eventually becomes what we would name as an adult codependent. Now, oftentimes you don't think of children necessarily being codependent. Usually you don't really hear that word till maybe your early 20s or maybe even late teens, right? You're like, oh, they're showing signs of codependency. And for some of us, we didn't even learn that word until we were much older, right? So, but now I want you to notice that you might have had behavior patterns as a very young child as a reaction to your energy of the energy of that codependency and the level of fear and stress and overwhelm you may have felt. Now, the more we're talking about the stress, the overwhelm, the fear, it feels like we're going deeper and deeper into certain things, and you actually want to let yourself drop into it because it's going to help you to heal it. So it's going to actually help to heal. So just breathing in. And we're wanting to call into an energy of self-forgiveness. And so just breathing into the energy of forgiveness of self. And again, calling into that flame of forgiveness. And we're going to expand this flame of forgiveness with the Ho'oponopono prayer, because it's not like you knew what you were doing, right? It is an imbalance in your energy field that would have happened at a young age, not knowing what else to do. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. At the same time, though, we want to clean up any way that in your in those situations where you actually weren't honoring your energy. So think about it. If you're dealing with parents or family units that are not really being that coherent or conscious, loving or peaceful, and there's a lot of fear going on, the more you're going to want to do for them, the more you're going to, you're never going to have time to just listen to your own feelings. So therefore, it's interrupting the entire spectrum of, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving to me. I mean, think about that for a minute. Go back in and just scan through your entire childhood. Was there ever a time that you felt safe enough and there was enough love, enough support for you to ask, wow, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me? And sometimes even if we have very supportive parents, we still may feel like we have to take care of them or do something for them, right? Sometimes, in other words, parents can be very hovering and very nurturing in a sense, but it still might come with a condition of, they're needing your love, or they're wanting you to kind of take care of them in some way. So again, notice the very nature of a baby before it's influenced is unconditional love. That's kind of its core energy. And so notice yourself as an infant, that your core sense of self is staying connected to that energy of divine love, that unconditional love. It's the nature of who you are. It's where you just kind of come from in spirit. And even as an infant, you might have been tuning into the stresses, the fears, the overwhelm, the highs and lows of emotion, the unresolved emotions, the thought forms of other people. And so from a very young age, again, your capacity to just ask, what's most unconditionally loving for me? And not really finding the space to be able to just sit in that. And notice even to this day, how well you're able just to do what's most unconditionally loving for you. My guess is you start practicing. We've been having these conversations for a while now. There may be other resources that you've come across that have been teaching you this, that sense of unconditional love, and that sense of self-care. But again, it might be kind of a challenge. And so this month, we're kind of right in between Mother's Day and Father's Day, right? It's another reason I kind of want to do the inner child one, because whenever we come up on those holidays with your parents, whether you celebrate them or your parents are, already transitioned or they're still alive, it kind of brings in the reminder. It's like everybody around you is doing Mother's Day things or Father's Day things. So even if you choose not to, it's going to unconsciously, the collective is sort of like focused on it. All the commercials, all the ads, it's always out there. So And again, you might feel very grateful to your parents and have a lot to express your gratitude and love for, which is really good. But this is really more about you and any unconscious part of you where you have codependent tendencies that are based on your heightened sensitivity. So again, we're taking the judgment of codependency. We're looking at where it started actually in childhood from a very innocent and pure place where you actually have heightened sensitivity, compassion, and consciousness. And then because of that, you've maybe been interrupting you paying attention to your own feelings and having a sense of self and feeling empowered and feeling like your voice matters and feeling like what you have to offer has value. It's been interrupting that all along. Remember that codependency is when you're more hyper-focused on somebody else's feelings and their emotions and their concerns and their needs. And, and why? Why is that true? Because our true nature is to be aware of our own divine presence at all times, choosing it above all else, right? So noticing as a child, it's very natural to put that focus outside of you. Okay, so as we're bringing this kind of full circle, then just taking a deep breath and breathing in. Breathing in and breathing out. Opening up your heart center. Going back to the age of the inner child that came forth for you tonight, or any age that you simply feel connected to. And I just want you to teach her, sitting with her and your higher presence, I want you to teach her that phrase, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me. And again, and oftentimes what happens is from the present moment, when we become conscious of something, we can go back into the past, breathe into it, become present to it, help it to heal. That starts to change on a molecular level, and it starts to create a new future. It starts to change the whole construct of your reality. So again, we're going back to the age of the inner child that you started with this evening. And just breathing in, one heart breath, and just teaching her how to say and get in touch with within herself at a young age, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me. And to start using her sensitivity, her compassion, her healing energy, her awareness, intuition for herself. I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me, and allowing your parents to be whoever they are. We're calling in the flames of forgiveness within yourself, the flames of forgiveness within each of your parents, parental figures, family unit, grandparents. Opening, aligning, and harmonizing that energy. Just calling into the Holy Spirit and the flames of forgiveness and just letting it all go. Forgiving yourself, forgiving your mother, forgiving your father. Is it really worth hanging on to at this point? As a matter of fact, hanging on to, even if it's unconscious, these trapped emotions and thought forms and what you learned and how it kind of scared you and how that fear might have gone in a deep level, it actually magnetized it to you in your life now, right? It holds it in place. And forgiveness and unconditional love. And so noticing that as you return back to, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for myself, even tonight on this call. For one, maybe signing up, being in the energy, being on the call, listening to the recording of it, doing what's most unconditionally loving for you. And now sending forth to your mother infinite love, adoration, and gratitude. And you want to call forth a cleansing rose. That rose can be any color you want. I tend to go with white, but any color you want. I just want you to imagine clearing the auric field, the inside and the outside of your aura around any energy, any projections that you have that you've sent towards your mom or that she's had towards you. So imagine this rose, kind of like a lint brush, rolling around the inside of your aura, picking up any pictures, any projections, any thought forms, and just picking up like a lint roller and just poof, going back to source energy. And do it several times, going all the way down the inside of your aura, and then going in reverse all the way up the inside of your aura, and then poof. And then going to the outside of your aura, again, any projections, any pictures, any illusions, any thought forms, about how you perceive yourself in the world, and clearing off, and how your mother sees you, and clearing off the outside of your aura. Imagine this white rose, kind of like a lint roller, rolling around the outside of the auric field, cleansing it, picking all this stuff up, sort of like a lint brush, and then going back in the opposite direction, going back up, poof, and just bringing it back down again, clearing off your auric field and noticing how much lighter it feels, how much better, easier you are to be able to see yourself through the filters of your own energy field, and how other people are actually able to see you. So you're able to be more honest about who you are outside of that projection, and others are able to see you more honestly for who you are outside of those projections and those needs and those things that got set up. Now we're going to turn towards your father, and in your father's energy field, sending forth infinite love, adoration, and gratitude, the flames of forgiveness, unwinding any cording, any heart issues, calling forth that cleansing rose between any projections, pictures, thought forms, illusions, emotions between you and your father, cleaning off the inside of your auric field, rolling back up, poof, going back to source energy, coming back down again to the inside of the auric field, clearing, picking stuff up, just watching it get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, back into source. Now going to the outside of your aura, imagining this white rose like a lint brush, just cleansing and clearing like a feather duster, a lint roller, cleaning off the outside of your auric field. Doing it one more time, clearing, clearing, clearing the outside of your aura, and just noticing it feels good. It's cleansing up a lot of illusions about that get stuck there, of how people then may perceive you, because there's all these pictures all over your aura, or because there's all these projections that you might even be holding about yourself that you picked up. And now let's go ahead and cleanse your parents' auras, right, of anything you've projected onto them. And so again, going in with this white lint roller on the outside of their auric field, and just cleaning off any pictures, any projections, any emotions that you have projected onto them. It's just not necessary. It's like an act of compassion, and just cleaning that up, poof, back into source energy, the flames of forgiveness. Doing that another time with your mom, clearing off any of those projections, and just feeling you're resolving karma, you're resolving any kind of energy there. You just don't need that static in your life. And then turning to your father again, because oftentimes we identify ourselves to our parents. So if we're judging our parents, or we're afraid, or we have them on a pedestal, whatever it might be, we identify ourselves most often how we see our parents, and it's good to clean that up. And so again, with your father, that white rose, clearing down their auric field on the outside, coming back up again, poof, back into source energy, coming again with that That rose coming down their energy field, clearing up any projections, illusions, pictures, belief systems, clearing it all off. Calling forth Archangel Michael, instantly dissolving any cordings between you and your mother, your father, whether they're in this lifetime or they've already transitioned, doesn't matter. Just allowing any of your self-identity, any of your codependent patterns and behaviors that you may have established or learned from your parents, and also your sensitivity might have engaged with them. Archangel Michael, Mother Mary and the Sacred Heart Angels, Archangel Jophiel and the Flames of Divine Wisdom, Archangel Haniel and the Angels of Divine Love, Archangel Raphael and the Angels of Divine Healing. There's just a lot of energy. The Violet Transmuting Flame and Archangel Jophiel. Noticing all these beautiful beings coming in. Archangel Uriel, the Flame of Divine Peace. So all your 7 archangels, Purity and Gabriel, coming forth and helping you to restabilize and to remember that your heightened sensitivity of who you are and what you have available to you, like your heightened emotional sensitivity, depth of love, compassion, higher awareness, intuition, we're going to ask that it be reset. So calling forth to your divine presence now, with all these archangels backing us, and Mother Mary, helping to reset this energy in your energy field. Your heightened gifts being turned back on to their full extent, their full awareness. Again, and looping them into, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me. So whatever service you render, it's because it's healing and helpful for you to be of service. So it's not about other people any longer. Do what you do because it brings you great joy, because it's what you love. And any of the things that you find you're doing out of codependency. So now timeline up to your present moment, right? Coming back up to the present moment. And in the present moment, and just noticing being in the present moment. And noticing where you may have any tendencies towards codependency right now. Partnerships, children, pets, people you work with, family members, maybe more than one, but just sort of bring in whoever's close into your life. It could even be ex-partners, grandchildren, friends, clients, people you work for, people you work with. And I want you just to notice in the energy that tone of codependency. And you may be choosing it with the illusion of safety. In other words, the reason you might be enabling other people, keeping in mind that when we enable others, it's sort of like nursing them into, somebody had recently said that codependency is like nursing somebody into their grave. And that's a very harsh thing to say, right? But it is kind of true in a way when we're being enabling to people. And that's a big part of what's codependency, right? Or being codependent, we're oftentimes giving people their way, even when we don't feel good about it, or it may not even be good for them. So enabling and codependency, keep in mind, are pretty much on a similar wavelength. And so noticing where you might be enabling or being codependent. If anybody's enabling or being codependent with you, and that it's an ultimate sort of sense of disrespect, not honoring another person, disempowering to them, whether it's, kind of on both sides of the spectrum, whether you're doing it or receiving it. And so it's not really a healthy or a happy thing. again, just breathing in and noticing that sense of codependency and enabling where it may show up in your life currently. And to reset, because you want to do a reset, and you'll probably have to continue doing the reset for a little bit, but you're resetting it by saying, in this relationship, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me. I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me. It might be something simple, it might be something big, but just honor it, whatever it is, and start honoring it so that you can, we're clearing through things tonight, which is going to kind of jumpstart the process, but because this is probably a long-term, more chronic issue, you might need to, kind of repattern this energy for yourself. So again, just breathing in and repatterning this energy. Wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me. And now noticing with the energy with your mother, again, whether they're alive or passed away, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me in the relationship to my mother this lifetime or in this moment. And then turning towards your father, again, whether he's in this world or not any longer, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me in the relationship with my father. And just giving thanks this is done, and so it is. As we bring in the flame of peace, sealing this energy now, as we're starting to wrap this energy up tonight. And so you want to start noticing that if you do have codependency or enabling tendencies, that it kind of parallels, it equals how sensitive you are, how loving you are, how sensitive you are, how emotionally intelligent you are. But because it was kind of derailed at a young age, it turned into something that it wasn't meant to turn into necessarily, being codependency or enabling, right? And what you want to do is, instead of just feeling sort of stuck with that pattern or trying to heal the pattern, don't even worry about necessarily healing codependency or enabling. Don't overly focus on it. Instead, keep coming back to noticing how sensitive you are and honoring that side of yourself. And one tangible thing you can do is to keep asking the question, I wonder what's most unconditionally loving for me in this moment, will help you to get back in touch with the feelings in your heart, right? So feelings, which are related to us on a soul level, emotions are oftentimes kind of emotional reactions, but feelings go much deeper into the heart and connecting to the soul. And you're wanting to come back to yourself and to start paying attention to that. And that's actually going to be the most efficient way to realigning not only your own inner sense of confidence and self-respect and that kind of energy, but it's going to give you the ability to help you and recalibrate all of the relationships in your life, even to our pets. Like, we have this down to an art, right? And so even with our pets, we can be sometimes codependent or enabling, so we're just going to let that heal now. So this energy is the beings that have come in tonight. It's a group of these higher angelic beings, and a lot of the archangels and Mother Mary, Archangel Michael and stuff. They're going to be helping you with this. And it feels like this is about a 6-week process. So the energy we called in tonight, it feels like it's going to be working with you over about the next 6 weeks, when you're going to be reframing and recalibrating this pattern and watching it almost like a divine intervention start to kind of begin healing of its own accord at this deep level. So just almost like an expectation, an invitation, a gratitude and acceptance of a divine intervention on your behalf, where you're literally owning your own feelings, feeling empowered within yourself, and having super healthy and balanced relationships with people, where you don't have these weak links, where you might be good with most people, but there's these particular people that you just totally lose yourself to. So we want to kind of get that up to par across the board. So again, thank you so much for your patience with me getting the wrong date last Tuesday and coming back on the call tonight and taking the time to do that. The recording will be up as well after we get done with this, and you're welcome to share it if you like, or re-listen to it. I hope you have a good evening. If anything comes up over the next 6 weeks, feel free to reach out. You can book a session online. Text me if you just have a question, or email me, and we'll just keep this unraveling. So I hope that was helpful, and we will talk to you soon. All right. Have a good evening. Okay. Good night.